everyone. I know it's been a while since I've come on here. Last week was amazing. I got to really dig deep and plan for my retreat, and it was one of the best experiences on Sunday. I know a lot of you have liked and commented on the pictures, and it was just a really beautiful experience to see women opening up, releasing, setting intentions for what they want their quantum queen to look like. So it was just a really magical experience. So that was actually the last retreat that I'm going to be having in Pittsburgh. I am going to be having in 2020 my first out of state retreat. So excited about that. There's a lot of cool things coming up in 2020. But today I wanted to actually talk about something that I taught on Sunday. And that is really just more about overcoming your own resistance during the transformation process. And the reason why it's so important to have a coach or people around you who can really be your mirror and reflect is because we can't always see the things that are blocking us. And so that's really what these women saw on Sunday was they were able to actually have someone see them for who they were, see their masks, their blocks that were getting in the way from that big vision that they have. And so many people try to do this by themselves, and it's difficult for multiple reasons. When you're trying to stretch yourself, you're naturally going to bump up against resistance. That's just something that happens because your subconscious mind is running your programming every day. It's like, the hardware in a computer. It has the old programming in it. And so if you're trying to create a new future from the old programming, you're going to bump up against a lot of resistance. So a lot of the work that I do is really helping women to reprogram that hardware so that they can begin to actually shift their identity, not creating from the old personality. And we'll go into that a little bit more here. So when I say shift your identity, I don't mean change who you are. I mean become more of who you were when you came into this earth. And so it's not that anything's wrong with you. You're not damaged, broken, need to be fixed. It's really just peeling back the layers of conditioning that allowed you to actually forget who you are at the soul level. And so really, if you had to distill down what I do, I help bring people back to wholeness. And so many people deal with these things. We deal with, I want this big vision, but then all of these things keep getting in the way. I start to go make more money in my business, or I want to find a soulmate. There's all these different potentials that we want out in our field, out in the future. But if we're recreating the past, how can we begin to attract and magnetize that future? So there's something to be said about, oh, hello, we have Chantel, Nicole, Stacy, welcome today. Jillian, awesome, we're getting more people. I know it's early. Wow, Mary, everybody's popping on here. I know it's a little bit early, but whenever I'm just feeling the flow of what I want to say, it's just, I have to do it now. So what I was talking about, for those of you who just popped on here, was the idea that, we can't create the future from an old identity. So a lot of this transformation work is really about shifting your identity. And it's not that you're broken, damaged, anything like that. It's just the fact that in order for you to begin creating your new future, you need to be releasing these old layers of conditioning. Hi, Mary. Good morning to you too. I'm so glad you're here today. And I'm so glad that you came to the retreat on Sunday. It was beautiful to have you there. So we have all of this stored energy from the past, and it's in our subconscious body. So oftentimes we don't know it's there, right? It's just locked in our subconscious body, all of these trapped emotions. And that can be unworthiness or guilt or fear or shame. All of these experiences, you've had imprints from different things in your life from the past. And I guarantee, now that you're popping on here, you're like, oh yeah, I do feel anxious all the time, or I feel these constant, it's like looping of emotions that's keeping you stuck in this pattern. And oftentimes it's very subconscious. It's something beneath the surface that we can't see. We can't see it for ourselves. Welcome, Joy, Kim. Wow, we have a full house today. This is awesome. So that's why I really focus on this quantum queen, because it's different for everybody. It's going to look different for every single person on here. But the quantum queen is really your highest self. It's that potential that you have of really connecting with your soul. It's releasing the shedding of the ego and the conditions and the fears, and really releasing and unleashing who you really are. It's liberating that energy from the past that's tying you to these stories of I'm not good enough, or the self-doubt, or the shame, and all of these things that keep you in this limited self. And so what I do with my clients is actually help you to release that in the subconscious body. Because if you're thinking one thing, you can have a clear intention. It could be like, I want to make more money in my business, or, you know, I want to find my soulmate, or whatever that is for you. You can have that there. But if in your body you don't feel worthy, that's where, you know, it's incoherent signals. It's like, oh, that's very clear, but this is not making sense. It's not aligning. And when you have the clear intention with the emotional impact of the subconscious body, that's when you have manifestation. That's when things align for you. So it's important to realize nothing's wrong with you. It's just you've been imprinted, you've been conditioned a certain way, and it really builds on itself. So your thoughts become your emotions, right? Because it's that mind-body connection, which creates your belief system. That is your subconscious blueprint. And the more that you ingrain that every day, you're like, I'm an anxious person. I am damaged. I'm broken. It's like this, that's the old hardware. That is the old you really not allowing yourself to expand into who you really are. And so that shapes your identity. Your belief system shapes who you are and how you see yourself. So, and I went through this year. I actually completely upgraded my energy system. I remapped my subconscious blueprint. And I went from my pharmacy job where I was miserable and, you know, working 12-hour shifts and not having any breaks, to doing what I love and making more money doing my coaching business. So I know that it's not just this nebulous concept. It's actually, you can bring this down into the physical, practical realm. And I've seen it with so many of my other clients. It's really about shifting your identity and allowing you to see yourself as that quantum queen, as that powerful woman who is confident, who can express herself. That's really what this is. It's coming back to wholeness and coming back to who you really are. And so this whole equation is really part of my secret alchemy method. And for those of you who aren't familiar with alchemy, in medieval times, there were these chemists, and they actually distilled, they went through 7 different layers of process, chemical process, to turn ashes into gold. And so that's why I call it my secret alchemy method, is because that's what we're doing. We're burning down the old identity. We're finding out, okay, well, what's your gold? And how can you use that out in the world? Because each one of us has a unique personality, a unique gift, all of these things that we can bring to the world. But if we're in our limited self, how can we ever expand into who we're meant to be? And if I would have stayed as a pharmacist, I wouldn't have been able to do this work or host retreats or do all of these other things. So I use myself as an example just to show you. And I always say this, and I don't want to put myself down, but I'm no different than you. I'm not, just because I am a pharmacist or wrote books or whatever, it doesn't matter, right? All of us have a unique potential. And I want you to remember that you are worthy, you are valuable, and it's just a matter of getting out of your own way to express your unique gifts. Maybe for you, it's like, I want to be a really great mom, or I want to be an entrepreneur, or whatever it is. There's no right or wrong, because everybody's highest self is going to look different. We're not all meant to be the same. And so I really wanted to come on today to empower you to really think about what is the place that you're creating from? Is it the old identity and you're thinking the same thoughts, feeling the same emotions on a weekly basis, looping in on anxiety and fear, self-judgment? And the first step to expanding and to getting out of your own way is really just self-awareness, right? It's really looking at, what are the thoughts that I think on a weekly basis? What are the emotions I feel? And from that, you can start to see how you actually create your environment. You shape your experience based on what you feel about yourself. What's going on in here is going to be reflected out into the world. So like if you had unworthiness from past experiences and just this really deep sense of, I have no value to bring to the world, you're going to see that reflected in your business or in your career. Maybe even in your relationships, you're going to bump up against that resistance. And what I want you to start shifting is seeing it as a symptom, right? Like when we get a headache, sometimes it's because we're dehydrated. Well, when you're seeing this symptom of anxiety, emotions are a result of past experiences. Even though you're feeling the emotion right now, it's your subconscious body bringing it up to be like, hey, this is still here. We need to release it. And what most people do is avoid, suppress, numb out through, Netflix or food or booze or whatever it is, when really your body's like, knock, knock, hey, like I'm trying to get rid of this. And it's giving you a signal to really say, hey, I want this too. I want this big future, but all of this in here is still stuck. Because that's what happens when we feel, especially when we're young, from 0 to 7, we're very impressionable. You're completely made up of a subconscious mind. Only when you turn around age 7 is when you start developing that conscious mind, which is about 5% of what we do every day. The rest is all subconscious. So if you're not addressing the subconscious body, you are going to have a really tough time getting to that goal, whatever that is. So that's a lot of what I teach in this Quantum Queen model, the sacred alchemy method. All of that really ties together so beautifully to help you shift, to really work on releasing these blocks that I can actually, look at somebody, and for those of you who are at the retreat, you can see that is my gift, is like, boom, like I can see blocks. I can see, this is what that person needs. This is what this person needs to get out of their own way. When you have a coach, when you have people in your realm who are going through the same journey and who are stretching with you, that's powerful. Because when you try to do it yourself, you bump up against all this resistance and then you stop and then you go back to old patterns. So really, if you're wanting to change, if you're wanting transformation, you need to be addressing the subconscious. You need to have people around you who are supporting you. And it's so important, and I can't reiterate that enough. But it's doable. It absolutely is. And like I said, if I can do it, anybody can do it, because, for most of you, my story of where I came from, an abusive household, and, eating disorders, and, ex-boyfriend slashing my tires, and codependency, depression, anxiety, all of those things. And really, it was a result of my conditioning and the thought forms that I created in my body. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy enough. All of those things were creating my external environment. And so when I was able to liberate that energy, you're able to actually use that to create something good in the world. So that's what I'm really inviting you into, is your potential, your possibility of actually making that vision come into physical reality. And the methods that I use, and this is all quantum physics, but I leave all the fluff out. I really just get to the nitty gritty of, all right, well, how does this apply to your life? How can you begin using these tools, these releasing tools? And then I have manifestation tools to really begin creating the life you want. And I'm living proof of it. So me and the dozens of other clients that I work with. So just something for you to digest today. And I'd love to hear if anybody has questions or, oh, perfect, Jessica, I'm very interested in the coaching aspect. I have anxiety. Yeah, and I hear so much about, and that was actually, Jessica, I'm glad you brought that up, because that was the number one thing that I saw on Sunday was anxiety. You know, it's not being anchored into your body. It's thinking into the future. A lot of people, it's called catastrophizing, like you're thinking of the worst case scenario. And in order to begin shifting those patterns, what we need to look at is, okay, what's your vision? What is your quantum queen? What does that look like to you? Would that person be confident? Would they be powerful? What would you be doing? How would you be treating yourself? And when you see that, you can see how your current self is not aligned with that. And that's no judgment. It's just like, okay, this is what you want. Here's where you are. How do we get you there? And through these releasing techniques, through really feeling it in your body, like, I am fucking worthy, that's when it shifts. That's when you begin to attract the life that you want. So not everybody has the same blocks, and that's why it's not a cookie cutter process. I have a foundation for what I teach every single client, that, you know, those key components of really like laying the foundation. But for each individual person, we all have different things, whether it's unworthiness, shame, guilt, anxiety, that's getting in the way from that vision. And so that's really the work there, is helping you to shed that. And it happens pretty quickly. You'd be surprised when you have the right tools, and you have the support, that you have other women with you going through the same thing, and you're able to be like, oh, I'm feeling this too. Like, all right, I'm not alone in this. Not only that, but even on my group calls with the Quantum Queen Mastermind, other people will have different insights. And so getting those different perspectives is so powerful, because they're going through the same thing you're going through, and you're not doing it by yourself. So really being able to stretch yourself out of your comfort zone, and trust me, I will do that to you because I want the best. That is really where the growth happens. If we're just sitting here and we're doing the same things, we're thinking the same thoughts, we're watching Netflix, we're getting, distracted, procrastinating, getting caught in these patterns, you're not able to shift into the vision, into the woman that you're wanting to be. And so I just talked a lot. Anybody else have questions? Okay, can we relate weight gain to past traumas? Yes, absolutely. Actually, Doreen Virtue has a really good book, Losing Your Pounds of Pain. And I've seen that a lot with so many clients. I actually just had, and the woman that shared at my event had lost 30 pounds. And I didn't give her any diet advice or anything like that. It was all just energy. That it's really stuck energy, usually in your lower three chakras, the solar plexus, sacral, and root, that we're in survival mode most of the time. So that's a great question. And that's where we hold everything. That's why, with me, I had an eating disorder, because I had so much guilt in my sacral. It was moving up into the solar plexus. And that's what created this insatiable, need. I was binge eating and anorexic and all these different things, but there was energetic imbalances in my body that led to this symptom. Like I said, just think of, if anything's coming up in your life right now, think of it as just a symptom. Don't attach meaning to it. Don't be like, well, I'm damaged and this, blah, 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 blah. When we create stories is when we suffer. So just looking at it objectively, okay, what's here right now? Okay, what can I do to shift it? And realizing that you can change. It doesn't matter what trauma you've had. I've seen miraculous things shift. Sexual abuse, emotional abuse, all of these different things. The remnants of emotions are trapped in your body and just need to be liberated. They need to be let go. Otherwise, you'll keep looping and creating the same external experience. So I just talked a lot. I am really open to any questions about this. I know this is a really interesting topic. I love talking about transformation, if you couldn't tell. It's amazing to think that we can change our lives and actually reprogram and upgrade our brain to start thinking in new ways, start choosing new pathways. And it's just amazing. So anybody who has questions, I would love to answer them. Feel free to reach out to me or comment on this live. And I hope that you guys have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.